People never really saw me at La Luna, the restaurant where the city's wealthy came to celebrate deals, affairs, anniversaries, and everything in between. I wore the same crisp uniform every night, my hair tied into a tight bun, my steps light and practiced. I was a shadow, moving between tables, balancing plates, smiling politely, disappearing just as quickly as I appeared. To most, I was invisible, and I preferred it that way. Until the night Adrian Thornwell came in, the billionaire whose face was on magazines, whose company everyone whispered about, whose presence made rooms stiffen with both fear and admiration. He wasn't the loud type he didn't need to be. Power clung to him like a second skin. But beneath the rumors and the headlines, I never expected him to look at someone like me. I remember seeing him before I realized who he was. He sat alone at table 9, the corner booth where dim lighting softened sharp features. A charcoal suit, perfectly tailored, sleeves rolled up just enough to show strong forearms, eyes as dark as expensive coffee, following every motion around him. But when my gaze accidentally met his, something startling happened. He didn't look away. He watched me with a focus so intense I nearly tripped over my own shoes. I forced myself to breathe, remind myself I was working, not daydreaming about men, so far above my world, they were practically constellations. I walked to his table with my practiced, neutral smile. "Good evening, sir. May I get you something to drink?" His eyes traveled up to meet mine, slowly, not appraising, not dismissive, but searching. "What's your name?" he asked. People didn't usually care. Wealth made them forget that waitresses had names at all. "Marina," I answered, straightening, "Marina." He repeated it like it was a lyric he wasn't allowed to forget. "I'll have whatever you recommend." "Are you sure?" I asked before I could stop myself. Billionaires weren't usually the surprise me kind. A corner of his mouth lifted. "I trust your judgment." That alone nearly knocked me off balance, so I nodded and stepped away, feeling his gaze follow me again. Throughout the night, I tried to convince myself it was just curiosity. Maybe he simply liked observing people. Maybe I reminded him of someone. Maybe I was reading too much into the way his eyes moved when I walked by, lingering like something inside him shifted each time. But every time I returned to his table, something in the air felt different, charged, heavy, impossible to ignore. When I set down his meal, his voice stopped me. "You don't belong here." My breath caught. "Excuse me?" "You move like someone with bigger places to be," he said calmly, "like someone who's waiting for the world to open." "Nobody waits for the world to open," I murmured. "People like me work until our feet hurt, then do it again tomorrow." He studied me quietly, head tilted slightly. "Still, you look like someone fate might be planning something for?" "No," I said, almost laughing. "Fate doesn't notice people like me." His gaze sharpened, not in disagreement, but in something unexpectedly soft. "It noticed you tonight," he said quietly. I froze. His tone wasn't flirtatious. It wasn't playful. It was almost reverent. I stepped back, unsure how to respond. "Your order is correct, I hope." "It's perfect," he said, but his eyes weren't on the food. The rest of the shift blurred. I knew he was still watching me, not possessively, not arrogantly, but with the quiet intensity of someone who'd spent years feeling alone in crowded rooms, and suddenly found someone he didn't expect. Near closing, I passed by his table to find a note tucked under his glass. Not a phone number, not an invitation. just a single line in elegant handwriting. If you ever decide you deserve more than being unseen, come find me. No signature, but I knew. I stood there for a long time, heart pounding, unsure whether the message angered me, flattered me, or completely unraveled me. Was he calling me small, invisible, or was he telling me he saw something everyone else missed? I placed the note in my apron pocket and forced myself to keep working. But when I clocked out and stepped into the cool night air, I found him standing beside a sleek black car, hands in his pockets, eyes on the ground as if he wasn't sure he should be there at all. "Why are you outside?" I asked, startled. His gaze lifted, and something raw flickered there. Vulnerability. A billionaire shouldn't have looked vulnerable, but he did. "I didn't want to leave without saying something," he said. "You already did," I replied, touching the folded note. His throat tightened. That wasn't enough. "Adrian." Hearing his name on my lips startled him, like it meant something he wasn't prepared for. "I'm not asking for anything," he said quietly. "Not a date, not your time, not your number. I just wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For looking at me like I'm human." The words hit me so unexpectedly, I forgot how to breathe. "Power makes people forget what I am beneath it," he added. "But when you spoke to me tonight, you didn't give me the billionaire version of myself. You gave me the real one." I didn't know what to say. The street lamps cast a glow around him, rain starting to mist the air. He didn't reach for me, didn't move closer. He just waited. And maybe that was what terrified me most. He acted like my presence mattered. "Good night, Marina," he said softly, stepping back toward his car. "You won't see me again unless you want to." His door opened. Then, right before he got in, he looked at me one last time with a gaze that said he didn't believe in fate until tonight. And now he wasn't sure he could live without it. I didn't expect to see him again, not really. Billionaires didn't wait around for waitresses. And men like Adrian Thornwell didn't linger on moments that didn't serve their empires. I told myself that whatever happened that night was nothing more than an unusual collision of two distant worlds. A spark, maybe, a misunderstanding, a passing curiosity, but some moments don't pass. 3 nights later, La Luna was unusually quiet. The city felt heavy with fog, the kind that swallowed sound. I was wiping down table 7 when the door opened. An instinct told me to look up before my mind caught up. He was there. Adrian, no entourage, no suit. Just a simple black sweater, hair slightly tousled, eyes searching for something he seemed terrified he wouldn't find. And when his gaze landed on me, everything in him softened. He walked toward me slowly, careful, as if approaching something fragile. "You're here," he breathed. "I work here," I said, but my voice trembled. "That's not what I meant." I swallowed hard. "You said I wouldn't see you again unless I wanted to." "I know." He hesitated, but I hoped maybe you did. Silence stretched between us, thin, trembling, dangerous. Finally, he exhaled. "Can we talk? Just talk?" There was something in his voice I didn't expect. Not command, not confidence, something closer to longing. The restaurant was nearly empty. My shift was ending. And despite every warning my mind whispered, my heart stepped forward before I could stop it. "Okay." He sat at table 9 again, his table now in my mind. I sat across from him, suddenly aware of how close our worlds had drifted, how easily this could tip into something I wasn't ready for. He rested his hands on the table, fingers interlaced. "I thought about you," he said quietly. More than I should have. I'm not special, Adrian. You're the only person who didn't look through me. I shook my head. You're not invisible. To everyone but you, I am, he said. People see the billionaire, the power, the name, not the man. His honesty disarmed me. It untied knots I didn't know were there. I'm nobody important, I whispered. That's where you're wrong. His eyes lifted slow, warm, steady. You were fate the moment I looked at you. My breath hitched. Why me? I don't know, he admitted, and that scares me more than anything. There was no possessiveness in his tone, no expectation, just truth, raw, quiet, and terrifyingly sincere. The fog outside thickened. The world beyond the windows blurred, leaving only the two of us inside a cocoon of dim lights and unspoken possibility. Marina, he said softly, if this is the last time I ever see you, just tell me one thing. What? Did you feel it too? My chest tightened. My fingers curled against the tablecloth. And before fear could silence me, I nodded. Yes. Something in him broke beautifully, silently. A small breath escaped him, as if he'd been holding it for days. He didn't reach for me, didn't touch me, didn't cross a single line. He just whispered, then that's enough. And somehow it was, for tonight, for fate, for us, whatever us might become.